You have been part of Britespan since day one, being a member of the founding family, right? Now, were you working for Britespan or any of its dealers the first year Britespan came into existence?
When Britespan came into existence, I was actually in university
You
still.
were still in school.
I was still in school.
So you got to sort of see it from like this peripheral, holy cow, I'm glad I'm not part of that right now.
That looks like a gong show right now.
Well, tell me what that looked like, because, so it started out at the farm, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what was that like when you'd come home and you'd see the operation the first year? What did that look like?
So I was actually I was away. I went to the University of Guelph, and as close as it is to home, it's only
Yeah.
an hour and a half. I didn't come home.
You stayed away.
I stayed away.
Yeah.
I was enjoying university,
Yeah.
and that whole experience. But hearing about things from what was happening at home during that whole transition, um, I should have kept in touch a little bit more. But no, I kept doing my own thing in university at that time.
Yeah.
Now, through the holidays, through the summer, I came home and worked either in the yard or for one of the dealers when needed, if needed.
Yep.
But took other jobs just to get other experience too
Yeah.
through university.
Yeah.
So then once out of university, I decided to work for another company it was just over a year and a half. Again, just broadening horizons because all I knew before was different experiences in the company.
Yeah.
Working in the yard from right after grade school and high school, I would get off the bus, go to the yard, do whatever miscellaneous needed to be done.
Yeah.
And then through summer holidays as well, just work there, go on crew when they needed the extra hands. But then after the year and a half away from the company, so to speak, and getting other sales experience, that's when I then came on board with one of our dealers in Ontario here doing agricultural sales.
Yeah.
Learned that side of the business.
Yeah.
And what features, benefits, why fabric is good for livestock and everything to do with the farm.
Yeah.
And then transitioned over to the commercial side of the business.
So first 5 years of Britespan, it was a lot of ag sales, farm sales, things like that.
Yes.
That was just a natural, there was a void created when Coverall went out, and Britespan came in immediately, filled that void. But you got into more commercial work as the years started going by. Is that by accident?
It was more out of necessity. It was just a natural progression, really, is what it was.
Yeah.
My transition to the dealer was naturally he was growing and he needed to have someone boots on the ground doing the sales, doing the quoting so that he could be on site and making sure that the quality was there with the crew.
Yeah.
So that was a natural transition. And then going to a commercial, they were continuing to grow and need more help. And I was a quick and easy study to apply what I knew about the buildings to the commercial industry. And
yeah. So let's talk about that specifically: warehousing, cold storage in the commercial industry. Down in the U.S., that was not our major focus out of the gates when I came to Britespan, and we discovered that we were pretty good at this without trying. And the marketplace 15 years ago was not really looking to fabric buildings for warehousing solutions. I mean, back then and all of the years preceding that, a warehouse was a metal building. That's traditional. It's just what you did. You didn't see a lot of post frame being used for larger warehouses because it's really tough to make a 120-foot wide wood truss. It's also tough to do that kind of a span without any columns inside, and nobody wants columns inside of a warehouse because the forklift drivers, those are targets.
They find them.
Yeah. So the discovery of, holy cow, we can fit that pretty well. Talk to me about the first warehousing commercial project that you sold. What was that like? And look, I want to hear, I really screwed this up, or I missed the mark on that, or I wasn't even thinking about this.
What was my first one?
Your first memorable one.
The first memorable one isn't a good memory.
Yeah. So tell me about that. That's the reason why I wanted to pick your brain today.
Sure.
As any business grows, as any individual sales guy grows, you get great at what you do because you've stepped on all the landmines, you've made all the mistakes,
Yeah.
and you learn a lot along the way.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that first project that you remember, a warehouse project where you may have said, gosh, I would have done this differently, or I missed an opportunity here. But I'm also interested in you and your customers' reaction of, this was better than I thought it was going to be, and why. Tell me about that with that project.
Okay. So this project, it was a little building, a little 30 by 40 to go on shipping containers. And I had this sense, but it was, again, the first one going into commercial, and I was just eager to get that first one under my belt. And so the signs were there of this was not a good guy to deal with, but I just kept looking past them because I wanted to get some sales, like, and show my stripes on the commercial side of things.
Right.
And so I ignored those signs, didn't necessarily bring them forward to who I would call my coach or manager in the office here, and talked through, okay, this is what they were looking for. This is who we're being compared to in the industry. And it was a lot of back and forth, and then changes, and then, okay, finally, let's go forward. But they never prepared the site. So, okay, we're a week out. I've got you scheduled. So the building is now ordered. We ignored the signs. We're going forward. We did the engineering. We manufactured the building. We're a week away from getting on site and doing the call, double checking, you've got the containers in place. And no, you guys are doing that. No, we talked about this.
Got it.
Numerous times. This is the measurements, and I need these in place. You have this material to do that. In preparing a shipping container with some extra brackets, essentially, to be welded on to support the building. And so that wasn't prepared. So that created heartache for the crew and the project manager to now find another site to quickly mobilize to and get prepared.
Yeah.
And then it just went on for weeks and weeks with the customer, and then ended up deciding we're pulling this plug. And
what was he going to do? Had you never talked to him, what would that guy have built for his warehouse?
Just a very small, we'll call it the building in a box. Is what I call it, from overseas. And it comes with no engineering. Kit. Steel frame or aluminum frame with a very, very light cover.
Got it. Okay. So a do-it-yourselfer project.
A little do-it-yourself is what I was being compared to.
Got it.
And in the end, that's, I think, I don't know, maybe what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, didn't know better.
Just human nature, we want the best price. And we're going to shop reasonably and understand where's the value.
Yeah.
But sometimes that dollar difference just, it nags at you, and you want to, it's okay. I can save that. And what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
We know when we buy really cheap stuff in anything.
Yeah.
The worst always comes.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of people that go out looking for the cheapest possible set of tires to put on my car.
Right.
I don't think that I know people that do that. Or if you're going to replace the furnace in your house, give me something that might work for a couple years. Right.
Yeah.
It always does surprise me of how people's value proposition changes depending on what the objective of the project is. You took me to a job site years back I remember the parking lot had a lot of pipe, a lot of culverts and pipe, corrugated stuff. And you had built a building there that was pretty big. It even had a loading dock on the end.
Yeah.
What was the name of that place?
That's blue water pipe.
Blue water pipe.
Yeah.
That was a big building.
Yeah.
So tell me about that job. So that's a big commercial, almost industrial. Were they manufacture or wholesale? What did they do there?
They manufacture.
So they're
the pipe.
manufacturer.
Yep.
And that was, if I remember right, that was cold storage warehouse facility that you put up for them.
Correct. Yeah.
So tell me about the first contact with them. Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? And what would they have done if they never knew about Britespan or fabric buildings? And what was the outcome between the two?
Yeah. Great questions. So they reached out to us. They knew of us because we're an hour north of them, and just we're all around them on the farms. And so they knew of us just by word of mouth and seeing us. And so their contact to us came and identified, listen, we need some cold storage. We're a manufacturer. And part of my job that I really love is I get to see a lot of different industries
Yeah.
and how things are made. It's like I get to do, who was it that does how it's made?
Yeah, right.
So I get to just go in and learn all these different things about manufacturing, but I digress. The solution that they needed was for a temporary storage prior to shipping product.
Okay.
So inside of that building is the immediate going to ship onto the loading dock of the smaller coils of
Okay.
the product
Stuff they can't leave outside.
that they didn't want to be leaving outside. Correct. Yeah. Especially in the winter, they're fighting with the ice and everything like that.
Okay.
So the initial call comes in, and we're looking at roughly, they started at 80 feet wide. This ended up being a 70 by 190.
Yep.
And so the process was, we think we need this, 80 by roughly 200. This is our needs. We need some entrances in either end. We think we want to do a loading dock, and here's about on the property where it's going to go. So I looked on Google Maps and saw logistically how that made sense to what they were thinking about. We did some very rough numbers to make sure that we're in the area of what they're thinking. Logistically, also how the doors were going to make their maneuverability for bringing product into that building,
Yep.
but then also leaving a path for staging onto that loading dock. So we looked at that, and I came up with a couple of options too, knowing where they were in Ontario for snow load and wind load, what a economical model for us in that size range was. And so I knew, okay, the 70-foot wide performed very well as far as engineering performance,
Yeah.
and then translating to economies, an economical build.
Okay.
And so we identified what their clearances were needed for the forklift and the product, and that model actually met all of the other parameters, the clearances.
Yep.
And the depth. So what they did on that 70 feet is they staged it widthwise and then left a drive aisle on one side.
I remember seeing that.
So that reduced 10 foot in width didn't actually impact them on their operation side, but I was able to get them that same goal at a more economical solution.
They were placing and pulling product. Everything was inside. There was no outside exposure, which is one of the things they wanted. They were looking for vertical clearances from you. If I remember, there's pallet racking inside that building.
Not pallet racking, but they needed those clearances for the forklift to be
stackable.
Right. Yep.
They needed at least X square feet to operate inside.
Yep.
And let me ask you, price wasn't an issue? Or was it?
They had a budget in mind.
Okay.
Because that had a bigger corporation with them.
So they weren't just handing you a blank check.
It wasn't just a blank check.
Okay. How did you do comparable to any other solution that they looked at? Were you much more expensive, right in line, or much cheaper?
They were, that customer was looking for us to provide the solution.
Okay.
I don't believe they actually shopped us on that one.
Okay.
Knowing who we were, there was a lot of trust on the outside from that one. Okay. Of who I am, who our family is, and who Britespan is.
Yep.
There was a lot of trust that we're going to find the right solution and we're going to do it at a fair price.
Okay. You said it had to be engineered. They were pulling permits for this thing.
Yes.
Did this start out as this needs to be a temporary solution and turn into permanent? We're keeping it like this?
This was always going to be a permanent solution.
Okay.
They wanted this to continue to grow their business.
Yeah.
They needed this to continue growing their operations,
Yeah.
and how they wanted to logistically manage everything.
Okay. How about when it was done, you did a walkthrough, punch list, sign off, everything's good, here's your final invoice, and then they moved in.
Mhm.
And you went back since. What was their reaction? And what I'm looking for is, what would they have done differently? And what did they get out of this project they weren't expecting?
Great question. I love doing the final walkthrough because that's when the customer is starting to use their building. They're really happy. Like,
Yeah.
our guys do a really good job.
Yeah.
They take pride in their work,
Yeah.
and it shows. And so the customer was ecstatic. We did have some challenges at the onset of the building permit,
Mhm.
if we want to circle back to that. Once into the site plan and permitting stages,
Mhm.
we ended up actually needing to reduce the length of the building from a 200 to a 190, simply due to proximity to a property line.
Got it.
We had
Okay.
some minimum distances.
Yep.
So we were early enough on that was an easy change.
Yep.
We didn't change any of the end wall drawings. We ended up also needing to add one more man door for egress, just building code aspect. That was a simple thing to address as well. And so those were some little challenges that came up along the way. He also, it was funny, get the cart before the horse on some items, ended up putting the loading dock in first, and then we were going to bring the building up to the loading dock.
Okay.
But the loading dock is what ended up pushing us towards that one property line,
I see.
that then we had to reduce it by 10 feet.
Got it.
So if everything, but timing, right?
Yeah.
They really needed this building done by a certain amount of time. So that was an aspect that they could manage to do prior to our construction.
Mhm.
It just ended up 10 feet too far one direction.
Okay. Tell me something that they weren't expecting that they liked. So I'll give you some examples. Oftentimes, Britespan dealers are able to complete projects much faster than pre-engineered metal building projects. Did you get this job done on time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I set the expectations of approximately how long it would take. So we came in on time to what my expectations were, which were much faster than anything else that they had experienced
Right.
for construction in the past, which was another large part to why we were a great solution for them.
Right.
They knew and had been inside of fabric buildings before, but having their own
Yeah.
and being inside of this bright warehouse that didn't have any lights in it was it. I don't think it has any lights in it today, actually,
Right.
because they don't need it. They operate only during the day.
Yeah.
And he knew what to expect, but he didn't have his own yet. And then he had his own,
Yeah.
and everyone, they love it.
So that's one of the things that, when I go through planning stages on warehousing projects, always lighting comes into that scope of work discovery, and safety.
Mhm.
I mean, these are warehouses with forklifts running around, humans running around. The impact on those two things, lighting, natural light inside the building. How many lights would you have to hang in a metal building to get it that bright as a fabric building? I mean, you'd have to have a massive amount of
A
lights
lot.
in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that most manufacturers have a focus on being a green manufacturer, an energy efficient manufacturer. That has become a thing. I think that fabric buildings can offer to our clients a strategy to achieve those markers in a way that they never thought of before, because you're not burning lights for 16 hours a day in order to keep the environment inside safe. I mean, the last thing you want is a forklift driver moving very heavy equipment in dark places.
Mm-hmm.
That's a recipe for disaster.
100%.
Tell me about the expectation for how long that building lasts before you would have to rehab it or put a new fabric cover on it. Is it the same as all of the other options that he was looking at?
So when I'm talking in terms of longevity for the fabric, the commercial fabric, it has a 15-year warranty on it. And so, like a lot of things, you expect the material to or product to last longer. I expect that cover to be lasting 20 years before they're looking at it and considering what do we have left for life
Yeah,
expectancy.
yeah.
And so I'm also setting that expectation for how long they have of serviceability
Right.
for this before considering needing to do a major
Yep.
investment. That major investment, depending on the size of building, isn't that great 20, 25 years down the road when you consider, like, let's say it was that building. It was long enough that it had 2 covers, but I would need to put manpower on there for maybe 3 days. And we would have a brand new roof on that cover ready for another 20 years.
Compared to uh, steel, is the cost less?
Well, yes.
How about shingles, asphalt shingles?
I hear that they don't even last.
Yeah, yeah,
But yes, the one thing that most people don't consider, unless it's a seamless roof, is when it has screws, a screwed down roof. It's the seals that are actually going to. It's so UV is what is tough on any product.
yeah,
It's on our paint on our vehicles. It's on our equipment, the tires. That's why a lot of people are warehousing,
sure,
is to get it out of the sun.
right.
Um, but so on the roof of a steel roof, the washers to that screw is what eventually will just decay
Yep.
and roll down the roof. And now you've got thousands upon thousands of holes.
And it leaks.
And she leaks.
Yeah, yeah. They ever called you and said, man, does it condensate inside this building? It rains in here when the sun comes up, or if I've got big temperature shifts. Any complaints there?
We've had that if there wasn't adequate ventilation.
Yeah,
And that is the first thing I ask for. If it was, a year old and it's gone through that first cycle of major temperature difference,
yep.
is what was put in that building for vents in the end walls. And very quickly, typically, that is the solution. The other thing I look for is, where was that building actually placed? Is it high and dry, or is it low and
Yeah.
for some reason water going into that building? Seen that a couple of times as well, where the drainage around the building just wasn't good.
Yep.
And so the customer addressed that root cause. Wasn't a challenge since.
If they bought the next property over and called you up and said, hey, I want to extend this building, can you expand a fabric building pretty easily?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have 2 end walls on it, we'll move that end wall, take that down, move it to the end of the new building, the extension, I should say.
Okay.
And
so they can add
it's
as
very
many
simple.
lineal feet to that building as they want. It's not major reconstruction.
100%.
Got it. Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is that your customers that come to you, the reason why folks buy buildings from Britespan, especially for warehousing, is that they're getting fast construction. They're getting vertical clearances that they need. They're getting a super bright interior that provides for energy reduction and safety. They're getting expandability if they need it in the future. They're getting a great price tag on it. They're getting an expectation of 20 to 25 years before you need to refurbish the building. And then even the cost on that is less than most other means. Anything else that they're looking for that appeals to them? I mean, what answers the question, why does someone buy from Britespan when they're looking for warehouse solutions? There's no columns inside the building, so it's wide open space.
Yeah, my approach to any customer is the solution. So yes, we have the free span. It has the everything that you just touched on. My approach though with them is I'm not here to just sell you a building. I want to make sure that I have the right solution for what your need is. And in this case, warehousing, yeah, we fill that need. But what are those specific parameters that they have? In this case, with the blue water pipe and the loading docks, I didn't just take, oh, you want an 80 by 200, here's your price. It's, well, how are you using that?
Right.
Why are you looking at us? Understand, okay, time is a factor here, and budget, of course. But if he needed 30 feet clearance on the side for whatever other reason, I would probably need to go back to the drawing board and take a little bit more time to figure out what is the right solution.
And
we would still have it.
Yeah.
We would still create it.
Okay.
But I would come up with a different solution and provide first concepts to him.
Yep.
To understand, does this meet your parameters?
So you can make custom buildings for height and widths. You can make almost whatever it is that they need.
Absolutely.
And your buildings are insurable.
Absolutely.
Because they're engineered. So you submit an application to get a building permit. No problems with that because you're fully engineered.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And what about, tell me about maintenance on these buildings. Somebody that's never owned one of these before, never considered one before. Now, I was going to put up a metal building, but I met you, Mr. Britespan, and you're saying a fabric building might work much better for me for all these reasons. Am I going to have to go and maintain this thing every month? Am I going to have to do inspections and tighten things up? And tell me about maintenance.
Great question. So, yes, being observant of your building, regardless of the building, would be a suggestion. But for the fabric buildings, when it comes to the cover, in that first year, that if it's a very large cover, it could have some stretch to it. And when I say large cover, I'm thinking 60 and 70 feet wide of a building up and over. And that cover might have some stretch to it. So in that first year, when you've got a lot of heat in the summer, we're talking 35 degrees, you might start to see that cover, it looks a little loose. It may take a little bit of a tightening, but then that's really it.
For what, the rest of that year?
For the rest of its serviceable life.
Really?
Should be.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I don't need to go and tension this thing every spring. I don't need to constantly upgrade and maintain this thing. Once it's set, I should be carefree as long as I'm maybe doing an annual inspection. Is that what I'm hearing?
I would suggest doing an annual inspection, but that's like a walk around. If you're doing it yourself, that's a walk around looking at your straps. With the fabric building, it's an observation thing where if you're not seeing that cover fluttering and I do the drum test.
Yeah.
If you hit that and it sounds like a drum,
yeah,
that is under tension, and that's the key to the fabric building.
Okay.
Is the fabric has to be under tension so that it doesn't have wear.
So client calls up, interested in maybe exploring a fabric building for his warehouse. How narrow can you make a building for me, and how wide can you make a building for me?
Our narrowest model is a 24-foot wide, and our widest we've done up to 210
feet truss that spans 210 feet.
Correct.
Okay, so somewhere between 24 feet and 210 feet wide, you don't have to put load-bearing columns in to support that roof?
No.
Okay, so that's one of the big advantages of fabric is that you're not carrying all that collateral load.
100%.
Big wide spans.
Yeah.
That'll make sure that a forklift doesn't hit a column if you don't have any columns.
It's pretty hard to hit something that's not there.
I like that. So speed of construction, cost mitigation, longevity, super bright interiors, no columns to hit, engineered, insurable, expandable. Chris, it sounds like you got it all. I mean, I'm trying to think of a reason someone wouldn't use a fabric building for a big warehouse project?
I'm struggling to find one too.
Yeah.
And on top of everything that you just said, our installers, they take pride in their work.
Yeah.
Um, and our dealer network, there's pride behind our product and the dealers that install our product and our trained contractors that install our product.
Well, let me ask you about that. How many times do you get folks that want to quote and they say, I'll put it up myself? I don't know that you're going to want to do it yourself or putting up a 200-foot wide span building. Is there any size that you're okay with them putting it up themselves?
So there's absolutely that question. And there's a threshold where people recognize, most people will recognize this is a little out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
The smaller structures, and when I'm saying smaller, this is not even necessarily a warehouse at that point. It's got another serviceable reason. That's your 40-foot wide little structures.
Okay.
Anything above that, our customers are generally, they have this need. They're in an industry. They serve their customers for whatever that specific reason is. We can talk about blue water pipe. Their profession and their skill set is in manufacturing and servicing their customers in that industry.
Okay.
We will come in and fulfill a need for them to do their job the best, and we'll do our job the best of installing that building to help them in their business.
And so the reason why I'm asking you about fire rating is I'm trying to figure out if there is a reason to not at least explore Britespan's offering for your next warehouse project. And I'm just not finding a reason not to use them. I think that, so somebody might say, can I put one of your buildings on top of tall concrete foundation walls?
Absolutely.
Can I put your building on top of blocks, concrete blocks?
100%.
So can I just like stake one of your buildings down to the earth?
Wouldn't suggest that. No.
Because why? Because what'll happen?
Well, there's no integrity to just staking it to the earth. It needs a foundation, which would also be engineered from us.
Got it.
For the customer.
Got it. Okay.
So again, I loop it straight back to what is the need of that building in the warehouse? Do they need that? If it's a warehouse, it's maybe not a commodity storage, which is where my mind is going for higher concrete walls. But no, we are going to provide all of the engineering for that building.
Okay, so this really isn't a tent. This is a permanent structure.
That's a terrible word.
Okay. So here's my last question for you.
Yeah.
So I've got a business where we're manufacturing some parts, and we're even assembling some product, and I need some space. You know, as business spikes and shrinks, my inventory grows and shrinks, and I can't put stuff out in the open. I can't put it out and expose it to the weather. I need to get a warehouse building put up, a 50 by 100. How do I even begin? How does it start with Britespan? Do I have to fill out an application? Tell me what that looks like.
That's a fantastic question. So, of course, we are online. They could Google Britespan and find us that way. They might even know someone that has a Britespan and ask who they dealt with.
Yep.
From there, filling out, let's say you found us on Google, fill out that application. One of our representatives would get in touch with you and start to understand that project. So if you filled in and you identified only, I need a 50 by 100. I'm located in X town.
Okay.
I would then be giving you a call and further understand what is the industry you're in? Why do you need this building? Based on that why, what are the extra parameters that you have for those clearances and other things that we've already talked about?
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that anything that I prepare for you fits what you need.
Got it.
And in the timeline that you need it.
Okay. So this is more than just looking up Britespan and ordering a kit off the shelf. What you're saying is that the first step is to get in touch with Britespan so we can begin discovery.
100%.
It's like a consultation.
Yes, absolutely.
Got it. There's two components to success when it comes to working with fabric buildings. First is to find a high quality manufacturer dedicated to safety and quality. But the second half of the solution is the execution arm. And Britespan only works through authorized trained dealers throughout North America.
Yep.
Our business model is not buy a kit off the shelf and good luck. Our business model is let us consult with you for your objectives and the outcomes that you need.
Yep.
So, Chris, I've got a manufacturing facility down in the States or up in Canada. It's somewhere in North America. And business is starting to grow for me, and I need more space. I can't put what I make out in the open. I find Britespan. I fill out the get a quote form. I fill out the, hey, I'd like to get in touch. How does this work? Is it once I figure out what I want, I order a kit and you leave it up to me to find an installer? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So once you filled out that form online, that comes to our office and you would be directed to the local dealer installer, the authorized dealer installer who's been trained with Britespan as a product and finding the right solution. So that being said, your information would be passed to that representative who will then follow up with you and dig a little bit deeper to the information that was already provided or make sure that they are clear on depending on that amount of information that you provided. So let's say that you had called in or emailed in for a 50 by 100. My first approach would be we start the conversation, identify where you were, which would have been on that form, and then further dig into, well, what do you do? Why do you need this? And so, and what are the other parameters? Doors, access, ventilation, etc. Time frame. So this isn't just filling out a form and Britespan then spitting a quote back to you literally the next day. It's our dealers who are there to also install that building for you are going to provide as much of a turnkey project for you as you want them to provide.
Okay.
In that first call or in those initial calls, we want to identify where's that start-stop scope for us as far as the other aspects to construction, excavation, right through to the finish. How turnkey do you need that contractor who is authorized from Britespan to help you?
Got it. If I wanted to go see a Britespan warehouse building, will you take me to go see one?
Love to.
Yeah. Your customers
and I would like my customer to be there too, because customers just start talking and they do the heavy lifting for me.
Okay, Chris. So my last question for you is this, and thanks for spending your time with me. And by the way, congratulations on Britespan's 15 years of exceptional growth and quality and customer satisfaction. It's been an amazing 15 years. I think back to those first couple of years where it was tough getting up and running, and what this entire organization in North America looks like today is crazy growth. But my last question is this, and it's a tough question. I don't mean to beat you up, but have you ever had a customer that you sold a building to who came back later and said, I really wish I would have done this differently?
Yes. He should have done it bigger.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never built a building too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I get it. Well, Chris, thank you for your time today. This was awesome meeting with you. Hope to see you again sometime soon.
100%.
Take care.
Look forward to it.